Good evening, everybody. This is Big E coming at you one time for the good time. Big E's Drive After 5. That's what I'm calling it. Just so you know. So I want to get a couple of disclaimers out before I get started. Number one, I'm not on my radio. The radio is actually off. Radio is off. I have no microphone in my hand. Well, now I do because I'm showing you the microphone, but look, Mom, no hands. So, no radio is on. No microphone is on. I'm not driving on the left-hand side of the road. I'm actually driving on the right-hand side of the road. And you're probably saying to yourself, why are you saying all this stuff? Well, I've had a few folks, stating that I was doing certain things that I'm not. Just because the only thing I think it is that there's some music involved, and I think that might be the problem that they're having, right? So I have a couple songs. One song is Hey Stacy. One song is called Big E's Drive After 5. I like to turn it on and jam it for like a couple of quick seconds. Then I turn it off and then I hit the radio and start talking on Simplex or whatever. I'm not trying to bore you. This is not about any sad ham stuff or anything like that. I just want people to be informed. These folks have been hams for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, right? And they're like, oh, you're broadcasting the radio over the air. And I'm like, how'd you come up with that? There's clearly no mic. There's no sign of a radio. How can you just assume that? And the other fellow is like, you're driving in the left-hand lane. I'm like, well, you may notice that I'm showing on the right-hand side of the car. Nobody has a right-hand side driver car. Well, I don't. So just make sure you do your stuff before you ask. You know what I'm saying? So that you're not raining on my parade. That's it. So that's all of that. Now let's try to see if we can get on the radio and talk on some Simplex or a repeater and see if we can have some fun out here on this Drive After 5. Because it is a long drive after 5. Hey, Bob. How's it going out there? Bob, I'm just letting you know. I know you're a long-time ham. I just wanted you to know that my radio is not on, and I'm not on the left-hand side of the road, and all that stuff, okay? So we're going to go out there and try to do some Simplex and see if there's anybody on the air. All right, here we go. The radio is now on. I think you might have heard it go bloop, bloop, so that means we're on. All right, volume is up. That's always a good thing to make sure the volume is there. I have oftentimes got on the radio and started talking, and it was like, nobody's coming back to me. There was because there was no volume. Okay, here we go. This is Victor Alpha 3, Echo Whiskey Victor, VA3EWV Mobile. Anyone on frequency, over? We'll try this a couple times, folks. It's a rainy day.
VA3EWV, Victor Echo 3, Oscar Tango Whiskey.
Victor Echo 3, Oscar Tango Whiskey. Jonathan, good evening to you. Ernest, VA3EWV Mobile.
Well, good evening, Curtis. Hope you're doing well and staying nice and dry. Hi. It's been that type of day. It's been raining on and off all day today, as I'm sure you know, and staying nice and dry here at the QTH. How about yourself? Hopefully you're having a safe commute back.
Oh, yep. I'm nestled behind a car here. We're both doing 100 clicks. That's what I like to do. It saves gas, in my opinion. So I'm just in here with the cruise on and with the stay in the lane thing on and all those nice safety features. Hey, does your car have something like that it stays between the lanes by itself? Over.
No, usually if I drive a car, it's just me who's keeping it between the lanes. But yeah, that's good. That's good that your car has that. You know, goodness, the cars have a cruise control and lane assist and all that fancy stuff like automobiles these days. It makes everything safer, but at the same time, it's a lot more automated. So yeah, that's good, especially for like today where it's very slippery out there. It's good to have that sort of thing.
Yeah, the part I like though is you can disable it, so that's always good, because sometimes these things have a mind of their own. Just not that I want to talk about this, I used to talk about all things radio, but check this out. This is a 2019 Chevrolet Equinox with the top trim whatever they call it, Premier Edition. And before I got this car, I had a white Equinox that was LT. And I was happy with it. And we went and bought my wife an Equinox that had Premier, right? So, anyway, same identical things about it. The age different. I know there's the male, the female, the driving record, all this stuff. But when we got insurance on the white car, my car, and I've had no accidents, knock on wood, safe driver since I was 16, no speeding tickets, anything like that. And my insurance was almost $80 more than her insurance was. I was with Allstate. So I called up Allstate and I'm like, I just bought a brand new car. I have no infractions, no nothing. Why is my insurance $80 more than hers? They said, well, let me look. They said, what's your trim? I'm like, LT. And they're looking because we're both, the same thing. And they see that her trim is Premier. They're like, oh, yeah. So you're getting charged because she has more safety features than you do. And I was like, what? And so I went and traded that car and got the Premier. And my insurance literally went down almost $73 over.
Oh yeah, Ernest, it's unreal, goodness. Sometimes it's just the color, I know red is more expensive than white for insurance, and two-door is more expensive than four-door for insurance. Just because statistically they get involved in more accidents, so you have to pay slightly more insurance. But yeah, it's funny how those things work out, and they work out all those numbers and the statistics to see if you're slightly more or less probable to be involved in the collisions. They can charge you insurance appropriately. Actual science, it's a very interesting field, but they have it down pat that even by color you pay more or less for insurance. But yeah, I guess that's how nuanced they are these days. VA3EWV mobile, VA3EWV.
What the hell is going on with that? VA3OTW, VA3EWV returning. Am I sounding okay when you're in there, Jonathan? You're sounding pretty good. No breaking up or anything like that. I just wanted to check before I kept on going. How's my audio?
You're sounding fine. I don't know where you are around town, but you're coming in probably S5, S6. You're obviously not in the core of the city, but you're still coming in not too bad there.
Okay, awesome. Hey, before I change topics and talk radio, the thing I love about this car, and it's something I wasn't able to shake the whole time I've been a driver. Every time I would shoulder check on my left-hand side, ever since I even started with my dad teaching me how to drive, if I look left, I don't know why, but I would turn left. I would kind of like start turning left. So my car, even if I shoulder check, it keeps the car in the middle of the lane. Unless I turn on the blinker, it will fight me. You can literally feel the steering wheel turning itself to the right as I'm trying to turn it to the left as I look. So out of all the features, I think that's the best one. And it also predicts things that I wouldn't even know of, right? So like somebody abruptly stopping in front of me, the car literally, I have a not LED, heads-up display, HUD, and it flashes on the front of the window, and it does all the braking and the steering and stuff like that to avoid like a rear collision. So that's pretty good. I wouldn't give that up for nothing. I'm not out here driving unsafe, but I thought that was like very good. And wow, does it work good in those winter conditions, the computer's changing the wheel speed and this and that, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. And this is not even a Tesla, so just imagine what those cars are like.
Oh yeah. Well, as I was saying, it's amazing what the automobiles have these days, and even the roads too. If you pull over too far on the curb on the freeway, it makes a little rumbling noise, and makes you aware that you're pulling over too much, and you kind of have to center yourself in case you fall asleep or something by the wheel. But yeah, they have that in the road as well too. And yeah, they have those features in the car, and yeah, everything combined together. Yeah, it's a lot safer than it was before driving. But yeah, that's great. That's great that it has those features. And they trickle down too. Usually when they add those features, it's usually for the top class of the car. But they eventually trickle down with technology that they're available to most models. Like power windows, that was a luxury thing. That was standard. Yeah, that technology eventually trickles down to everything, and everybody gets a piece of it in the long run.
It's funny you should say that, because remember I told you about the white Equinox LT, and I have the 2019. When the 2021 version came out, LT, it had the same lane assist, it had the same, a lot of the same features in the LT version. I was like, what? You're absolutely right. What I paid a premium price for, 2 years later, is standard. It's become standard, and you know what? I wouldn't be mad at it, because if that thing is out there doing what it has done for me and my family, keeping us in the lane, not drifting off. I'm a very safe driver. I don't like to drive if I'm tired or anything like that. But there are those occasions, and it will help you out, and it even will disengage itself. Because like right now, for example, I'm not using that feature because it's raining, and it's I want to make sure I'm in total control. But there are times that it will say this is disengaging due to the weather conditions. So that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, everything's so helpful these days in regards to assisting and driving, and like I said, cruise control and that lane assist, and I know some cars they have a little warning every half an hour to remind you that you should take a break while driving half hour or 1 hour consecutive. It makes a little notification sound to let you know that it's time to pull over. So yeah, all those things. And as I said, the stuff trickles down, like windows, air conditioning, all that is now a standard pretty much for automobiles. So yeah, that's great. I'm glad you're enjoying the car, and certainly making use of it, especially the mobile radio hi-hi. But yeah, that's great. I'm glad that you had a good experience.
Now, before I lose you, on the radio front, I participated in the MS Bike Tour. It's not a race. I got to be in what they call a SAG vehicle, and I got to look for a lost cyclist and help out different people on the way. I was two of us in the truck there. Nice, brand new truck. We were going to start with it, and then I put the mag mount antenna on the top, and found out that the car doesn't have any steel on it at all, so I couldn't use the mag mount antenna. The hood was plastic, not even fiberglass. It's kind of like a plastic hood. I have to look at that for sure, but I was pressing it with my thumb. It was moving like a half an inch with just me pressing it with my thumb. So I will not be buying an F4 150 to pay $1 million. And,
West sent a photo to ESD team leads and said, "Photo fire."
Anyway, other than that, what else? So that was pretty fun. And there were two guys there, one with a truck, one with a car. They were doing crossband or something like that. I was struggling with my handheld when I would get out of the car because it was spotty at best. But those guys knew the deal. They had been doing it for years. They both were set up with crossband repeaters with 20 and 30 foot push-up poles there. Over.
Yeah. Well, I think some of the locals here participate in that MS Bike Tour, and I think one of the used a cookie tray for the ground plane. I think they were having the same issue as you did, where there wasn't any metallic or anything to stick to the magnet. So this gentleman used a cookie tray, and he was experimenting with it, and I believe it worked out fine for him. So yeah, I guess there's different options to play around with and experiment, but good. Necessity is the mother of invention, I guess. That's what these brands.
Well, Jonathan, I'm looking at the Calypso Park sign, and you are starting to break up on my end. You might be picking me up very well there, but I'm going to have to let it go. I really appreciate you being out there saying hello to me. VA3OTW, VA3EWV, and I'll be clear on your final. If I can hear it.
Okay, Ernest, yeah, I'm starting to lose you here. So, hopefully you can still I wish you 7-3. Have a safe trip back. And until next time, I'm sure we'll speak again. VA3EWV Mobile, Victor Coast, Angle, take care of it.
7-3, VA3EWV, we're clear. Okay, folks, I'm losing on that one. I usually try to hit CRA, so I'll check and see if I can get the CRA repeater on my way home here. And if nobody's on there, we'll be closing this one off for this evening. Okay, here we go. This is Victor Alpha 3, Echo Whiskey Victor Mobile, anyone on frequency, over. Remember earlier in the video I said make sure you have your volume up. So I have two VFOs. So there was static coming in on the VFO-A, so I turned it down there. And we're like, uh-oh, I hear somebody out there. Here we go. This is Victor Alpha 3, Echo Whiskey Victor, anyone on frequency? Anyway, folks, thank you all for coming in there. I see Lloyd out there today, Bob out there today, Diane out there today. I just do this thing called Drive After 5. I have an hour commute to work every day and an hour commute home, and it's pretty boring. We are allowed to use our mobile radios in the province of Ontario. Just putting that out there, just so you guys know. I am on the right-hand side of the road, not the left-hand side of the road. I'm using an iPhone, so it's got reverse. It's looking at the selfie thing, so it makes me look like I'm on the right-hand side of the seat. So that's all that. And also, for another disclaimer, I never have the car radio or any music playing when I'm on the air. Some people think that that's happening without even seeing a radio in the picture. So I just want to make sure I'm putting that public announcement out there. If any of you guys are out in the range of the VE2CRA repeater or simplex, you can always try to give me a call out there while I'm doing this commute. This is Victor Alpha 3, Echo Whiskey Victor, VA3EWV Mobile, anyone on frequency? That's the VE2CRA repeater. Yeah, go ahead, please. I hear somebody saying something, but it's not. I don't understand what they're saying. I didn't catch your call sign there. Could you come again? Rumor has it that a lot of reasons why people don't use this particular repeater is because there's a lot of nonsense going on out there, but I never have heard any, but whatever. So, let's try it one more time. If nothing's heard, we're going to move on to the next repeater. I'll move screen. This is Victor Alpha 3, Echo Whiskey Victor. Anyone on frequency, over? Okay, we're going to just press the little button there and move on down the line there. Oh, there's the Winchester repeater. Let me see if I can get the Winchester repeater today. This is Victor Alpha 3, Echo Whiskey Victor. Victor Alpha 3, Echo Whiskey Victor. Anyone on frequency? Oh. I was talking to that repeater, but it just keyed up, so I was able to get it.
VA3EWV Mobile, Victor Echo 3, Oscar Tango Whiskey.
Hey, Jonathan. Okay. Okay, I'll pick you back up on the Winchester repeater. That's pretty cool. I was thinking that it was over with for today. Do you just happen to monitor this one, or you just happen to be leaving out the house or something?
Well, I have some repeaters on scan here, and whatever pops up, and this is one of them. So, yeah, that's great that you popped in. Haven't heard anyone on here in some time, so glad that you're able to chime in and say hello again, bonjour, as they say. But yeah, that's great. That's great that you're able to get into this repeater as well on your way back.
Yeah, I tried to exercise the Moose Creek repeaters that you introduced me to. If nobody's on Simplex, I go to CRA. So I do Simplex first, CRA second. Then I try to go into the Moose Creek repeater, because by that time I can hit one of the two. And if nobody's on there, I try Winchester. And then after those tries, I usually just stop, or by that time I'm getting in range of VA3PGC repeater there. And I've never gotten anybody on the Castleman repeater ever. And I go and I try to exercise that one once a day.
Yeah, I think I used to monitor that repeater. I wasn't able to get in that well, so I'm not sure on the range of that repeater. I think it's pretty limited, so that might be the reason. But yeah, you're kind of bad. And I occasionally monitor music as well too. I didn't hear you on there today, but I heard you on here. I'm assuming if you're going eastbound, you're going to be slowly getting further away from this repeater, but you're still making it in here, not too bad.
Yeah, it is breaking up a little bit. I'm going to QSY over to the Moose Creek repeater. That's where I was heading before I stopped just to see if this one was going on. So let's just try that before you go for the evening. Let's just try to go over to the Moose Creek one. I think it's OJN or something like that. I think it is.
Okay, very good. Well, yeah, I monitor the Moose Creek repeater as well too. So very good, very good. Well, I monitor as well because you're getting an elevator repeater here. I probably caught maybe 70% of that long transmission. You're in an elevator repeater. You weren't quite holding it. But Ernest, nice to hear from you again. And I hope you have a safe trip back as you continue your trip. And I'm sure we'll speak again, maybe sooner than later, who knows. VA3EWV Mobile, Victor Echo 3, Oscar Tango Whiskey, clear on your final.
All right, thank you so much, Jonathan. Have a good rest of your evening. VA3OTW, VA3EWV, we're 7-3 clear. QSY to the next repeater. Williamstown. Can I hit the 220 repeater from here? This is Victor Alpha 3, Echo Whiskey Victor. Victor Alpha 3, Echo Whiskey Victor. Anyone on frequency? Nope. Oh, but I'm only on medium power, so I'll try that later. Okay, OJE, Moose Creek, here we go. This is Victor Alpha 3, Echo Whiskey Victor. VA3EWV Mobile. Anyone on frequency? Over.
Let's make it a triple play here. The VA3EWV Mobile, Victor Echo 3, Oscar Tango Whiskey.
You're full quieting, nice clean signal into this one, Jonathan. Hey, look, before I lose, I have a question for you. Because something happened to me over the week, nothing bad, because I always use pen and paper for logging. But I don't know if you ever done any contesting. I'm not doing contesting, by the way. But I just started doing this Parks on the Air. And I went behind the Capitol there. The Capitol building, I think it's called Major Hill Park, maybe. I kind of forget. Beautiful place out there. Nice flowing fields. People had all their picnic stuff laid out. I didn't know that because when I went there, when I first arrived, there was no one. And when I looked over my shoulder about an hour and a half later, there was a field of people. Anyway, I was logging all of my contacts in this program called Hammers, H-A-M-R-S, but I was logging everything on paper, and I had the frequency and the person's call sign, and I did not have the time written down. I get home, I load everything up in the computer, I'm trying to see if I got any new awards, and nothing's coming up. I look at the logs and I notice that everything says, excuse me, everything shows the 13th of the month. It was the 16th. And the last time I had used that program was on the 13th, but I saved everything up because it was at some forest close to Castleman there. Anyway, I started to panic because I had over 160 QSOs, and everything that happened after midnight, it logged itself correctly because I guess it sorted itself out. But the 100 plus I had before that were all stuck on the 13th at 2350 hours. So when I loaded up the QRZ and the other program, I'm getting no credit for anything. So have you ever had anything happen to you like that? I have the paper copy, but now I'll be putting the time down on everything on the paper too. Over.
Ernest, I don't use any electronic logging with the exception of digital boats. I usually write everything on pen and paper. And yeah, for the awards, usually you're allowed a buffer of 15 minutes. I think logbook with the roll is 15 minutes, QRZ is half an hour. But you're allowed a buffer in case the other person is a few minutes different from you when you log the QSO. But yeah, everything has to match the time, the frequency, the mode, the data, everything has to match. If one of those things don't match, then yeah, that's it's not going to count. I made contact with someone in Corsica about a few months ago, and something similar happened to them. I think they were stuck in the middle of a thunder shower. Their computer got soaking wet, and they lost all the logs for the last day or two. So it does happen. It does happen, especially for the people who make a lot of contacts. So it happens, I guess. But you know, I guess there's backups and electronic modes that you can log automatically. So I'm sure there's solutions to it, but it does happen from time to time.
Yes, I'm always glad to bring the paper, and I'll just add the time. The lucky part for me is I have the whole thing recorded. And I found out a lot of people like that, because I've had people call me saying, I've heard myself on your thing. I hear what I sounded like in Canada, because they don't hear what they sound like. So so I used to go through and say, your call sign is at this time, your call sign is at this time. And that was like fun because I was bored and I had lots of time. Now I don't have lots of time, so I'll add that the next line for sure, the time. I had everything else, the frequency, the call sign, their name, because I always get that. And the only saving grace is for the ones that were on QRZ. Over the weekend, I got to email them because they had their email there. I said, oh, what time do you have? Here's a screenshot. I have everything but this and the date. I had to change the date. And they just came back with the times. And like you said, everything was within half an hour. So I was able to get about 18 of the 163 in. But hey, look, that's just day one. So at least that's a lesson learned there. So I'll keep like triplicates of everything there, eh?
It's one of those things. Everything has to match, so they can confirm that you made the contact. But yeah, I guess you know, there's paper logs and different things you can do. For myself, usually the calls when I do a log, the call sign, of course, the frequency, the mode, the time, and the signal report sent and received. That's usually a minimum. I know for people for POTA, I think you have to exchange your state as well too, your state or province. I think that's part of it. I don't really do POTA, but I think signal reports and province is part of the exchange, so that might have to be recorded as well too. But yeah, it's one of those things. Everything has to be lined up and exact, or else it doesn't count, unfortunately.
Yep, so I was like, well, if there's some diehards out there, because I've had people emailing me literally like 5-10 minutes after QSO saying, hey, look, like this one guy was so excited for him. He sent me an email within 15 minutes of the QSO. I saw it pop up on my phone. He says, look, when you have time to confirm this, because this will give me my 1000th contact, or something like that he was trying to go for. And man, was he so excited. When I went home and put everything in, he sent me another email thanking me for that, and then he sent me a picture of his award and stuff. And it's like, yeah, I just needed that one, and because he had been struggling to get like different parks, so he needed a unique park, and I was actually activating the park that was at last activated in 2000. Nobody had did anything since 2000, so he's pretty happy for that there.
Well, very good, very good. Sounds like he's a happy camper. Hi. Well, a similar thing happened to me for the QRZ award for the Master of South America there. I was short one QSO, and I was waiting, and you know, it's actually been, I'd say probably 4 or 5 months. I've been sitting on one QSO left, one QSO left. Then finally, someone from Curacao, they confirmed a recent QSO, and that may be eligible for the award. So yeah, it's always the last one that takes the longest. That last one, I think it took me, like I said, 5 months, 6 months. It took a very long time to confirm. And South America is a little bit harder because 10 meters is not really open these days. So it's been a lot harder. So I was certainly happy to have the contact confirmed, and I have the award now on the QRZ. So yeah, all it takes is just one, and sometimes you really have to wait for it.
Yep, so that's pretty exciting. So like I said, I'm not chasing, not right now. I had to tell a few people because they thought I was like overdoing it, and I was like, what? Well, you know, there's all types there, eh? You yourself said, Ernest, you've done so much, but I try to explain it to them like this. When it's Christmas Day and you open all your presents, you kind of use all of them because they're brand new presents, right? I just got my HF 3 months ago, as you know more than anybody because I talk to you all the time. But I did FT8 for the first 2 of my 3 months of getting my HF. So when I started on HF, it was right on Parks on the Air. I've only done 5 parks, and some people talk like I've done 1 million. But I guess that one was a low one at 160 because I talked to a lot of people that came up to me and was wanting to know about the hobby. But usually I'm averaging about 200 QSOs per activation there. Over.
Well, yeah, that's quite a bit. That's quite a bit. Well, yeah. Well, it's good to go out for sure, definitely. But some people, they only go out maybe, maybe 5 times a year. They'll go out maybe once a month for the summer months, and maybe the fall time, spring and fall, and that's it. They'll go once a month. Or if they're really ambitious, maybe they'll go once a week or twice a month, maybe. But that's usually it. But yeah, you're going full bore on the thing. And I have no doubt you'll be able to activate all these quota parks in Ottawa in no time, certainly. So yeah, it just takes a little bit of time, but I'm confident that you'll eventually make your way through it.
Oh, and with that being said, I just got for my birthday a Chilligant's M750, I think it is. It's a vertical antenna made for there's nobody around it. You know, there's a lot involved in doing the infed half wave on a pole activation because you have to, like I said, have the launcher, the string, the coax, the cones to make sure a lot. I took that thing out the package. It's 3 parts that you just screw into each other. A 4th part if you're using 40 meters. You spike it into the ground. You put out the 4 ground wires. You plug it into the radio. You're done. Like, it took me about 8 or 9 minutes the first time because I was like reading the instructions and all that stuff.